It's February, that means lacrosse. The first Tiger Lacrosse Report starts now, brought to you by the Green Turtle. Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Tiger Lacrosse Report. I'm your host, Spiro Morekas, along with the head coach of the Tigers, Shawn Nadelen. And Coach, amazing that the season is upon us already, and I'm sure for you, it probably comes too soon because you probably want more practice time, don't you?
Practice time is valuable, especially this time of year when you've gotten through preseason and you've had some guys in and out of the lineup, so trying to get some more bodies out there and get some chemistry, but the guys are ready. For the season to begin. They've been working hard and pressing for it. So I'm excited. We got a great start to the season. Obviously heading down the road and see what happens from there.
When you look at the Tigers, the first thing that sticks out, you have to replace Alex Woodall, who was probably the best face-off man in the country, and Zach Goodrich, who is definitely the best short-stick defensive midi in the country. So the first thing fans are going to want to know is, what are you going to do to replace those two guys, or how can you replace those two?
Well, you got to figure out, obviously, who you have. That's always the biggest thing. Is it's not, what you're wishing for. It's what you really have and what you're working with. So, luckily behind Alex, it was unfortunate that Alex got hurt towards the end of the season last year, but in a way, fortunate for us this year that Jack McNallen was able to be inserted, able to cut his teeth a little bit and get some good experience. So we have him back this year as a senior, and Preston to obviously fill that role and do as much as he can to help us out as a program.
And he had a great game in a key Drexel game.
Huge. Huge. In the CAA semifinal against an opponent that he had difficult with in the regular season. Set the CAA playoff record against Delaware in the semifinal there. So he's capable of playing very well. We just need him to do it obviously at a consistent basis and see what it looks like for the season. But also some good guys around him. And then with Zach was just obviously a very special player and person in our program. Leadership-wise, kind of unparalleled with that being a three-time captain. So that's a huge void, which, the senior class and then the leadership guys that have come back have embraced that challenge and that role. But D-midi-wise, definitely a void there, being a four-year starter and such an impact for us. So we're obviously figuring it out. We don't have it all figured out right now, which I don't think we ever do, but we keep working at it.
All right, now, two names that we didn't expect to see with the Tigers this year. Grant Maloof is back and John Mazza is back. Tell us about how those two came back to the ball club.
Yeah, Grant had a fifth year from, I forget what year it was, way back. He had an option and we were able to get that put through, and the same thing, John didn't play last year, so he had a fifth year. So they're both back. Grant is back, and he's been one of those guys that's really just matured both as a player and as a person throughout his career here, and to see him even last year, have some good leadership role within our offense with, Zach and Brendan Sunday and Jimmy Wilkerson and Woodall as the captains. Grant still assumed a pretty good leadership role within those guys. He's just got a lot of passion. You might not see it as much in the games, but you see it in practice. Yeah, he's got great IQ. He's a good voice for those guys, which is a great person to have back. And John's come back after a year off and been able to, again, just kind of insert himself back in. He's been up and down in regards to being able to practice with some different things that's been going on in the injury category. But he's, again, he's another, really good talent.
So the season starts Saturday against Johns Hopkins at 1 o'clock at Homewood Field. and this is a team that you handled pretty easily last year early in the season. You know that they're going to have revenge on their mind, and they bring back most of their offense. They bring back their goalie. They bring back their face-off man, so it's going to be a tough opening round ball game.
Yeah, always is. Always is. You know, and it's been a battle back and forth the past few years, and we know that obviously they know who we are because we return a lot of guys. You know, at our close defense, we return guys through the middle of the field, on the midfield, and attack and stuff. So they know who we are, and we have obviously familiarity with them. I'm sure both teams will have some new faces in different roles, and you know, the first game's always just challenging because you haven't seen each other on film. You kind of speculate in regards to what the other's going to do, and due to their personnel and what they've done in the past and stuff. But you know, you really got to coach your players up to be fundamentally sound and disciplined, and you know, rely on the fundamentals that we instill within our program to help us obviously earn and achieve success in the first game of the season.
The other thing, being the first game of the season, sometimes players might get a little too hyped up, and how do you do to try to control that?
You know, you get them to just understand what the moment is, and that it's a game, you know, and then be able to get out there and you know, play to our ability and our level, and not allow the energy and the intensity to overcome them too much. You know, if anything, you know, it allows us an opportunity to actually play with some emotion, which in our last scrimmage we didn't really do too much of that. So that's hopefully a trend that, you know, we've kind of put behind us, and then come out against Hopkins. Very, very excited, but very poised at the same time, and controlled. We have, I think, enough leadership and enough experience that our guys should be able to handle that and do that well. But you know, when that whistle blows, you know, it's always interesting.
It all starts Saturday at 1 o'clock. Tune in to TowsonTigers.com. Ben Rosenbaum and Glenn Smith will have the game for you starting at 12:45, again on TowsonTigers.com. So for the head coach of the Tigers, Shawn Nadelen, I'm Spiro Morekas. Thanks for tuning in to the first edition of the Tiger Lacrosse Report for 2020. And as always, go Tigers.